Welcome back to Hope Masterclass. Set down your anxieties and take a deep breath with me. Release any anxiety about your to-do list. Come and waste some time with me. You won't regret it. Maybe this will simply replace time in doom scrolling or clickbaiting across YouTube, which probably doesn't cultivate a peaceful mental emotional state anyways. In this episode, let's look at how hope is at the core of our humanity. From a universal or practical perspective, the greatest thing that humanity can hope to do is to continue to reproduce. Hope at the most human instinctive level is actualized, even perhaps forced on you viscerally when you're holding your infant child for the first time and he or she looks back at you with tiny eyes peeling open. Eyes that are longing to cling to a new face, to exchange pure panic and vulnerability with your familiar voice and loving acceptance. You are confronted with the sense of something special in that moment, being woven into what makes us human. If we decide at some point that this life in us is not special, that we do not have a soul, that love is just a natural bonding chemical for survival, that a computer could replace a human's value, it could be removing one of the most essential building blocks in the foundation of hope in us. What if that in turn causes us to no longer believe that the light of human consciousness, our ability to love, our growth towards destiny is special? How far do we concede to computers to replace our agency because we have been fed a lie that life is no longer precious and that humans are a disease in the earth? If we remove this key hope in us, this sacred and the value that is spiritual, we in turn lose ourselves because we don't intrinsically see the value of our own replication. We need to, once again, see the beauty and true hope presented, like the magic of that tiny little face and those eyes looking back at us, where we attain perspective and possibly catch a tiny piece of the hope of humanity. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a key leader in the civil rights movement of the 1960s, advocating for equality through peaceful protests and nonviolent resistance. In his inspirational speech titled, "I Have a Dream," he connects to his own children. There is something in this speech that is not just a political move or to spur on a social movement. It's much deeper than that. He strikes a chord with everyone who listens to it to this day. I believe that this speech sends tingles down our spine because of something divinely inspired, the desire within each of us for justice and equity for all of humanity. The dream, it seems, is a divine level hope that was seated in him, motivating his every word. He called forth a vision of a new future, saying, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Because we have these video recordings, hearing the passion in his voice and demeanor comes directly through to us. And there's no question why this speech was rated as the top speech of the 20th century. Think about how the power behind it, what is it stemming from? The speech and passion of Dr. King Jr. seeks to heal a societal wound that was there for generations. This is a moment of spiritual culmination from a people group in a nation built on the backs of slavery, retaining deep-seated racism for hundreds of years. The power of his speech to affect societal change, I believe, also points to the nature of building hope, the things which strike a chord at the heart of human nature. Hope must be implemented by us in this environment of wonder and inspiration, but we cannot forget it's based upon the foundational belief that there is something special in all of us, regardless of race. Dr. King experienced violence, threats, and imprisonment right up to his assassination in 1967. He lived this singular passionate pursuit of justice and equity, saying, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. This pointed to his high-level perspective of a long-term course correction. Dr. King was also knowingly inspired by Mahatma Gandhi in India with the adoption of peaceful protests, and to Jesus Christ in crediting his faith as a pastor. He manifested a power behind his message, carrying strong conviction, and fought for the oppressed. In summary, however, what he brought in his message was his hope delivered with passion, conviction, and inspiration. Hope was at the helm of his life, and it was contagious to all those who heard him. This series of hope is beyond a political party or religion. This is about observing the human condition deeply and thoroughly. Do we adopt a good vision for our future as we progress as a species? And what world will we create for our collective tomorrow? The clearer, larger, and more established your vision is, the more a type of gravity is pulling you towards that which you hope in, to manifest it. I believe hope is one of the most important elements in our human condition, and when properly built up in our heart, it becomes a solution to collective human brokenness. Consider also the level and quality of your life in a community that is hope-filled versus one that is siloed in fragmentation, individualism, or isolation. When we intentionally mitigate American individualism into general communal hope building, we can enter a best possible future together, regardless of AI disruptions, economic shifts, and anxieties from future chaos. I wanted to bring up some quotes about intrapersonal reflection and human nature as spoken by very significant thinkers and philosophers in a more secular worldview. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Simple but profound, we need to examine everything, and in the examination itself, we build upon the worth of life. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." The theory here is clear. Something found inside of us is extraordinary, dwarfing even world history or our mundane accomplishment of generational survival. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." This underscores the huge value of clinging to hope in facing the unbearable situation or seemingly insurmountable circumstances. A historical psychologist, Carl Jung, said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." My prayer for you in this series is that you can find awakening from within. Finally, one of my favorite quotes is from an ancient Indian yogi sage from around 200 BC. He said, "When you're inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds, your mind transcends limitations, your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you've ever dreamed yourself to be." So can we really reduce this phenomenal spark of our human consciousness to our being just big-brained animals with no incentive for the good or morality, simply reducing religions to fairy tales and delusion to soothe our mortal pains? I find that there is a connectedness we all have to a higher dimension, both in nature and among each other, given to us from the start by the divine. This is most readily apparent when we categorize ourselves, or self-actualize, as psychologists point to Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramid. At the very top of the pyramid is self-awareness, in having a conscience, contrasted with that of animals. I believe this was a divine gift embedded in each human by the Creator, who seated us here, having also equipped us with having a higher consciousness so we could better caretake this planet. I believe that we all gain experiential knowledge in this life, pointing towards some truth of synchronicity and life's propensity to not only help us survive, but to overcome any bleak prospective outlooks, even in strengths found in our communities to thrive together. Our drive to survive alone does not create such profound synchronicities and seemingly orchestrative positive outcomes. The scientific method, science itself, was born on the presumption that all life was intelligently designed and therefore worthy of study for pedagogical and medicinal purposes. In essence, it is the educated mind that sees the prospect of exploring the divine reality and hope that we glean as much wisdom as possible from it. If we were merely humans as animals, with slightly larger brains than chimps, why did our creators give us such rich emotion, sense of faith, hope for the mind's eye to grab hold of, true love from the heart, and a continual hunger for something more, something of greatness? Hope must develop in us to the point where we take strong and effective action in our lives to produce good results. Unlike simply watching YouTube tutorials all day, hope is also understood best when you put it into practice. You cannot have theory only, but also practical experience. When you allow yourself to hope and its fulfillment thereafter, it's like little moments of injecting life back into your soul. I believe we are designed to be functional in seeking the good we can obtain, growing our human strengths to a fuller potential, not just conceptual. You can grow to become someone who holds such a strong hope for the good that you take up good causes yourself. You become a community leader. People who know you and those you haven't met yet need the best version of you. Always seek peaceful methods of change. Be gentle, respectful, kind, sacrificial, and mature in your outlook. Our next episode, titled Stories Build Hope, we will look at quite a few individuals whose inspirational stories stand out, where hope prevailed, and even in a seemingly miraculous way. See you then. God bless.